let's dive into some of these and what people I'm sure are really here for, which is the role play. Our first volunteer, and like hopefully technology does not fail us here, but our first volunteer is Dennis Barley. Can Dennis Barley come on the? Is he here?
Yes. How are you?
Amazing.
Dennis, what's going on?
Right. Good. How are you?
Very well.
Good,
Very well. Dennis, where are you from? Give us a bit of an introduction.
I'm from near Cape Cod in Massachusetts. I am the Vice President of Healthcare Strategy at a company called Ideal Protein. We're a medically supervised weight management company that we're B2B, so we are working with physicians and all healthcare providers to help their patients. So we implement a system in their practice.
Amazing. I've heard it's very cold in Massachusetts at the moment.
Oh yeah, snow is coming and it's very, very, very cold.
All right, well, let's try and warm you up here. So Morgan's going to be the prospect for you. But yeah, like if we want to kind of start the call off by giving us a ring, no pressure on the dial, on the ring itself. You know, it could be a ring, be a ring, whatever you want to do. You can really style it out. And then Morgan will pick up his phone and we'll get the show on the road.
Okay. So I'm assuming, okay, very well. Ring.
Hello?
Hello. With whom am I speaking?
This is Morgan.
Hey, Morgan, how are you? I'm just wondering if you can help me. I'm looking to get just 5 minutes with your practice manager, just 5 minutes of her time, sometime that's convenient for her.
Well, I first would like to know what we're talking about in those 5 minutes. That'd be good.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. I totally spaced that out. My name is Dennis Barley. I'm the Vice President of Healthcare Strategy at Ideal Protein. And we are a medically supervised weight management program to help your overweight, obese, and metabolic syndrome patients. So, my first question would be, what are you currently using to treat your patients with those conditions?
Yeah, that's a solid question. We have, a normal procedure of what we're doing. It's something that we've been doing for the past, 40, 50 years, and it's been in-house. So we really haven't used any technology or any other providers. What we found that we're doing internally has seemed to be working, and we haven't had really much complaints here.
Okay. Well, how open-minded are you to new avenues of approach for that type of healthcare?
Yeah, it's a possibility if I could see that maybe it's more efficient or maybe possibly could be faster. I'm always open to new ideas.
That's awesome. I'd like you to just imagine, if we could offer that treatment plan that has it's got proven track record. We're published in peer-reviewed journals. Not only that, it will help your patients. Most of our patients that we've been dealing with tell us they feel great and their health is improved. And it's also an ancillary source of income for your practice. So I know you may be doing something else, but this is an avenue where it's a natural avenue where we can help a patient improve their health through nutrition.
So you mentioned proven results. Like, can you talk to me a little bit more about that?
Sure. Recently in September, we had two studies published in peer-reviewed journals. One was done out of Tulane University, and it compared our diet to the standard American Heart Association diet of low-cal, low-fat, and we beat that. We improved cardiovascular markers such as total cholesterol, triglycerides, waist circumference, which is your worst type of fat, your visceral fat. We had statistically significant improvements in that. And then in another study that was done out of the University of British Columbia, we had pharmacists de-prescribing their diabetic patients by utilizing our protocol. And we have other studies, but those two were recently published just in September of 21.
Okay, cool.
So again, just getting back to your question, I know this may not be for you, but if I could just get, and I swear I'll only take 5 minutes of your practice manager's time, so that we can discuss, or I can just briefly show her an overview, and then maybe perhaps the chief medical officer would want to take a look at another time where I can get in front of them and your board and present.
Yeah,
Does that
sounds
sound like
interesting.
does that sound like something that I could get done? I have Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 3 available next week. How does it look for her?
Yeah, that Wednesday time slot looks good on her end.
Right on. Okay, so can we pencil that in, and I'll take the information down, and then I will drop back by, or I'll call back and speak to your practice manager. See what we
Sounds
can
good to
get
me.
done. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you, Dennis. Bye. All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna give Dennis a round of applause because he went first. It's not easy, so we'll give him a round of applause. We'll clap it up. Hopefully, everyone in the chat, we'll get some claps to Dennis as well if you just want to put a clap in the chat. But David, I'll let you go first because I'm still processing through what I wrote down in the call. So you could go, and then I'll give my feedback here.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so firstly, reiterate what Morgan said. It's thank you so much for coming on and being so brave. It's a really difficult thing to do under pressure. Also, apologies that Morgan isn't an expert in your field, so couldn't give you really clear objections and feedback.
Okay.
Yeah, I
was expecting a lot more. We
Yeah,
usually do.
I know. I was like, I'm not a physician. I don't know where to go with it.
Morgan's face when he was scrambling around for an answer to "What are you currently doing?" was a picture. So, okay.
Brilliant.
I hope it was still relevant, the answer, but yeah. I think so. So first things first. I don't mind. I really don't mind the way that you led straight away with exactly what you wanted the outcome of the call to be. Sometimes it's there's positives and negatives from doing it. Positives is you're not being around the bush, right? It's a very direct way. You're not trying to trick anybody on your intentions, and but actually you, by being that direct, I think it forced Morgan to ask the question, which actually is the perfect question for you, which is, okay, well, why should I give you 5 minutes? And then that gives you license to then open up, or then to dive into exactly why you're here and exactly what you do. I think the one thing that really stood out to me is when you were given that opportunity to start explaining the benefits of your product, that your responses, there was the kind of I would describe it like a list of somewhat slightly generic responses, and everybody in your field, I'm sure, has a product that makes people healthier, right? Or I hope that every patient really enjoys the all of your competitors that you have, right? And so the biggest change for me that I think that could have the biggest impact is really focusing on the why behind that point, those points that you're making. And so you mentioned this is a good source of auxiliary extra income for businesses. That sounds like to me, and again, I'm not in your field, but that sounds like a really great thing. But what does that mean? How much could that be for my kind of business, right? If I'm backing those points up, I think we're really validating the points that we're making. And I think that's going to be really important for our prospect when they're only giving us a very short window of time. And I think, again, that's why Morgan ended up asking the question, okay, so you mentioned health benefits, you mentioned it's proven, what does that mean, right? And I think you could get ahead of that very quickly by really nailing the point. And on that kind of list of, I think one thing that's really common especially when you're kind of, when you're selling a product, you as the the person that works for the business, you know all the benefits in the world, right? There's so many benefits to every single product, but picking one or two that are going to be very relevant to that person is sometimes a lot better than listing 4 or 5 different benefits. So perhaps what you can think about, and my advice is like, maybe pick a couple that really, really resonate with the, like, or really like hit well, and just double down on those points, as opposed to having like, you know, a big long list of different benefits. I think that you'll see that for prospects there'll be a much greater impact. So that, I think that's probably my like the thing that I really latched onto. And I don't know, Morgan, whether what your thoughts are.
Yeah, and sorry, Dennis, I couldn't be the physician you were looking
That's
for.
okay.
I really was like, I don't know how to say this right now. Yeah, go ahead.
So I probably should have given you a little more of a background. Is in the U.S., very allopathic medicine when it comes to obesity, the disease of obesity. Basically, it's drugs, surgery, very little on dietary intervention, because physicians generally feel that it is, you know, that commercial stuff that does not work long term, et cetera, et cetera. We're a different animal. So everything that you were saying, David, before about the benefits, I would wait and discuss that with the practice manager. I was assuming I'm in a busy physician's office. I'm either walking in or I'm on the phone, and that person who I'm speaking, Morgan, who I'm speaking to, he only has tops 3 minutes. So I took more of his time, actually. Then the conversation gets deeper as we go to practice manager, second gatekeeper. Then we finally get to the physician.
Sure.
So it's really difficult. I mean, we're not looked at as anything. If I was a pharmaceutical salesperson, I could walk in there and say, hey, I've got this for your diabetics. But because I'm weight loss, it's a different animal.
Okay, interesting. I think, I suppose maybe to add slightly more context. So Cognism, for anybody that doesn't know Cognism, we're a sales and marketing acceleration platform. We have lots of competitors, companies in our space, but most importantly, our key offering is we provide access to a database of 400 million mobile numbers, or 400 million profiles with mobile numbers, contact data, like emails, contact data for prospects that you want to reach out to. So hopefully super relevant for lots of people here. In our space, there's so many people, and everybody is always, you know, everybody in our space claims they have the best data physically like available. Everybody claims they are, you know, they've got the most coverage. They've got more, you know, more profiles than anybody else. Everybody's doing that. So what I really try and get my SDRs to focus on when we're doing the cold calling is not just saying we've got, you know, we have the best data on the market, but kind of really justifying that in the back end. So we have the best data on the market. The reason is because our product is powered by AI, and instead of like necessarily just a manual research team like lots of our competitors. And so what it means is that we're refreshing 900,000 data points every single day, which means that the data is as up to date as physically possible. And so really doubling down on that, I don't think it impacts the calls later down the line, but it really justifies my claim in that initial moment, and hopefully grabs the attention of the prospect better. And that's the kind of thing that I think, you know, could potentially help. But like all things cold calling, testing and seeing if it works is probably the most important thing. But Morgan, sorry, I've interrupted there.
No, you're good. I would say I want to talk about something that was really important, and hopefully everyone paid attention to it, and I need to amplify it, is Dennis's pace and tone. If Dennis were to call me, there's nothing pushy or aggressive about what he was doing. The 5 minutes, you could see that as a pushy or aggressive, but in reality, it wasn't, because he delivered in a way that wasn't really like, what? Like, I'm gonna hang up on you. I did say, like, 5 minutes, I don't know what you're saying. Like, I don't know what you're gonna talk about for 5 minutes, but that's different than me being like, what? I don't want to talk to you at all, right? I gave him an opening, so I think the 5 minutes was part of that there. Now, the thing I had written down here is, you mentioned proven, and then when I said, what does that mean? Or, hey, what is proven? you went into like a whole spill. One thing that you could do is when people push back on you, say, what does proven mean? You could flip it back on them and be like, what does proven mean to you? Right. So then you could get an understanding of like what they are looking for. And then instead of giving me 3 examples, because 2 of those I could have been like, I don't care, then you could just give them 1 example as well. And the last thing that I would give you, and you probably noticed me doing it, is when you finish the statement, you would just leave it there.
Yep.
Expecting me to be like, oh, that's amazing. But I didn't do anything. I was like, yeah, cool. And then you're like, and then you like went to the next thing. And the thing is, I do that because I always recommend for people to ask a question after their statements, because you want to be the guide. You don't want the prospect to be the guide. You don't, because they're gonna drive you off the road in the call. So you want to be the guide to be like, hey, this is where we're gonna go next. So that's just something else that I would recommend on this call is when you finish a statement, ask me a question so then I have to answer it, and you go in the direction you want to. But if you just state something and you just leave it at that, I could be impressed by it, sure, but I also could just be like, cool, because now I don't know where to go from there, or I don't want to continue this conversation. So I'm just like, yeah, whatever. So it's something to be mindful of.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a really good point. Appreciate it.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
both your points. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Dennis, well, we really appreciate you being so brave, and thank you so much for helping us out here.